Don't you hate it when that happens? God! I hate that when it happens. Let me just get that out there. Forgive me. That was... I don't know. That was unforgivable. But... drives me batshit. Oh! Anyway. What was I saying? I was saying, like, the boom on the boom on the Widow. Somewhat non-existent. Totally integral to the plane. Made it look really cool. You know, something not like this one is. But thinking of the way to actually do that stuff. That plane was so good in like its design, and we chose the F-22. What a loss. Forgive me for dropping. A little bit frustrating, but you know that's not how I end my shows. I don't do that. There's a little bit more of a formality to it, so I'm gonna use that. Let me do this to like step back into use that pause to get us into the fighters section that I was trying to talk about. So we talked about the bombers last week. Let me get this out on the fighters really quick here. That we're meaning to discuss. Okay, paper air combat. Do you need fighters? It depends on how you do it. I mean, okay, a pure fighter, the interceptor. The pure interceptor, we always use that. It's what you shoot down enemy planes with. You may throw it against each other. I don't know what the hell. I'm not even sure. I just know that, like, every now and again, I have these issues that are going to have to be solved. So, actually, in that one's case, I think what happened was wouldn't you know that, like, the one outlet where my freaking router is actually has a little bit of a power problem. And I have failed to put it on a power supply. So, I have to unplug it and plug it back into a power supply. So, I know it was! That's what makes that shit frustrating! I'll fix it. Anyway. Let's not try to get derailed here. So the fighters, continuing on from what was last week, I wanted to get into this too, though. Leading to, like, okay, what the Pink Widow does. Your design, whether it is inherently stable or unstable, if it's smooth enough to be your interceptor, you know, obviously, okay, straightforward, fast, whatever. That fighter you will always need, right? Okay? Other fighters that we instill in IVPAC are practically unnecessary. I mean, really. And they're considered that. When you look at our structure of the roles that we use, which are borrowed from real life, I mean, they're not like the control fighter, which is air superiority. The patrol fighter, which is like aerospace defense. The dogfighter, which, yeah, okay, that's a stretch, but in the paper world, it doesn't translate out well. And ironically enough, I include it because it's traditionally included. I used it myself in the war. So, and probably you guys have used it, whether you realize it or not, because you probably didn't think too much about attacking, but you had your own little stunt loopers. And you flew your stunt loopers. What were they doing? Who the hell knows? But if you were to look back on it, because you were a kid, maybe, and you flew them, you were like having fun with them. But like when you think back on it, it's like there's probably dogfighting. I mean, seriously, because you were throwing it when somebody else was throwing it, right? And you were trying to compare it. And you were seeing like if they were doing an Immelman or low-speed yo-yo or you know, something along those lines. So, I mean, in essence, you were dogfighting. You weren't truly supporting or attacking, which is what we've like made the stunters become now. That's where we're at now. We've grown up. We've learned. So I put it to you that, like, okay, the bombers, quite important. And we'll talk about the attackers and strikers next week. Basically the same thing. We tend to have a tendency to call them the strikers now because we use the A for airlift. Again, real world. But fighters, it's really kind of like something loose. It's something you don't necessarily need it. Do you need a plane to go out there and fly loops around your airspace? Sure, if you like, you know, had a pilot own the airspace and you're just trying to defend it. But I mean, like in paper lingo, what the hell is it going to do for real? I mean, you're not sending out planes that have cameras in real time to like see what the enemy is doing. You know, my paper airplanes don't have cameras, so I'm not getting airborne early warning. Therefore, sending up a defense fighter seems rather, you know, non-consequential. Patrolling the airspace, again, non-consequential. But I had said it before, and I will say it again. These are just ways to get you to design more planes so much as like, and have fun with them and have something different. You know you got something different when you have those. You don't have, like, I mean, I don't encourage, but you can just like, you know, flip winglets down instead of up and say like, oh, it's a different plane. I leave that up to you. But it's a way of staying creative, which is also why we have so many rolls, because I want to try to prevent that. I don't want you to build like the same plane with winglets up and consider it like, which is where I was when I was 6. But like winglets up, winglets down, different plane. All right, you know, I wanted to be more diverse than that because anybody could do that. I mean, you could take one plane and like this thing, right? Okay, winglets up, winglets down, 2 different designs, and it will fly differently than this. This slant goes, you know, up. We'll call it up from front to back. But it could also go down from front to back, a la Spider. That's the Spider, okay? You're probably going to get 2 different results out of that plane. Those will probably be very similar. Could it be the similarity between, like, say, patrol and control? Yes. So, in essence, exact same plane, 4 different minor folds, same plane. You use the folds, I mean, your basic folds. This is the zero weight. But, again, like, if you were to slant it backwards, slant it forwards, and up and down. As long as you don't do them all, you've got 4 different planes out of one basic design. And again, it's something I was just trying to avoid. Because again, the more rolls, it's like, well, shit. Because one thing we do is try to put it to our members to prove that their planes do fly differently. So it's like, I mean, okay, the winglets are up and the winglets are down. Yeah, it's the same plane, but like, okay, is it consecutively different enough from the up winglet version than the down winglet version to say you have a different plane? And if you do, fine. Here's 12 more rolls. Let's see if you can get 12 rolls out of that bird. Usually you can't. Again, and that's why. But again, going back to our original, do you need these fighters? No, not really. I mean, again, if you think about us and prepping for like an air war, an air combat, if you think about us doing, are we going head to head? All you're really doing is taking your interceptors and trying to shoot down the enemy's bombers. Really? Right? No matter what their size, from a long-range striker that's small to the heavy bomber, which is large. You're going to try to take your interceptor and shoot it down. It'd be fun to dogfight, which is again why Dogfighters are in there. So it's like, let's see them, throw them up, and they like fly all around and loop-de-loop and shit like that. And maybe there's an Immelman in there, you know, which would be really cool. And they collide, you know, so whoever like comes out of that still flying wins that contest. So again, yeah, by that sense, yes, you can use a dogfighter. And that's what I really try to hold on to. And fighters have all ranges, just like the strikers. It's like you kind of expect them to be anywhere from like the dogfighter, which would have a shorter range because you're probably pretty close to your enemy, to the interceptor, and then your patrol fighter or control fighter, which should have the longest of ranges. And control, a little bit looser. Again, I wouldn't think it'd be that far. Not as far as your penetrator. So, which is your sex toy airplane. Don't look that up, kiddies. They call it the interdictor, the deep strike penetrator. We use those terms interchangeably because the interdictor, striker, penetration, that's what the longest range strike aircraft does. That's all in strike, that's all in attack, and we'll touch on that one next time as we go through this like 4-week stint of describing the bulk of the roles. We'll have a little bit of fun. We'll do the transport next. And I should say 5 because, lo and behold, we might touch on rockets. Yeah, we should do that. Or maybe even helicopters. So maybe 6. I don't know. We might actually get, you know, NASA's involved. I'll believe that when I see it. Oh, my God, dude. Lockdown. He comes back. He's going to be so pissed. Anyway, so yeah, the tech talk that we had again, any and all the stuff that we try to decide to do. You know what I think it was? I think Y13 was made a little hacking move and took us down. It was funny how it happened after Y13 came on board. Hope he didn't think I did that on purpose. I'm gonna have to send him a little message there. If you're still there, Ben, sorry. I don't know what happened. But if you were there and you caused it, what the hell, man? I don't know if you knew about this. I can't remember if this was mentioned in NASA's videos that he put on, but I'm going to use the term if because this is getting ridiculous. But if we get back to the regular show where it's not just me, it's everybody, the format will probably change a little bit. Not too much. We got it going good. It's obviously going to look like a little different than mine is what you saw before. So, it'll look a little different. But, we may change nights. There was talk about changing the nights. I'd rather not. But if we have to, chances are what's going to happen is I'll probably make this my show night, and in which case actually it'll probably be a two-parter. I may put my show on this night. I might put a little blurb on this night from IVPAC itself, IVPAC Global here, and then like whatever night our weekly show turns into. I'm kind of scared because you mentioned something about making it a Saturday. I really don't want a weekend show. I hate that crap. But if we have to, we have to. And if we do a weekend show, it's going to have to be consistently shorter than these, which is why I do want to extend it and have try to make more of a conscious effort to have a three night a week show stint. So like my channel at SIL will have something featured. IVPAC is, midweek summary. For example, we'll have that, and then the weekend wrap up will be the regular show. This show, it's in the works. We'll see what we do. I've also said before, I like to say it again. You guys plug into and welcome to pop up your videos. Try to link them through us, feature them, we'll check them out, so on and so forth. We've been keeping tabs on y'all. Hope y'all been keeping tabs on us, even though we've really just done the weekly shows. Trying to change that, power, I promise. Robert, I'm trying to change that, okay? That one little blurb I put up, dude, was seriously disappointing, but at least I got something up there. And, but yeah, be on the lookout, certain things. I sure would hope to God that the format changes sometimes before freaking April, but I wouldn't get my hopes up yet, because it's looking like a severe drought, especially out of our southern brethren. But we shall see. We shall see. OAE, just try to fly them, man. Seriously, just try to fly some. Maybe that's what you need. You've got a lot of the designs and a lot of the stuff might have got you down, like maybe your wood's burned to the ground and so on and so forth. But I mean, it's life. But get back in there and fly something up. I did not do the paper rocket yet. Again, dude, I am not kidding when I say I watched your video again 2 more times. Seriously, because it really is cool. It's fascinating. I like the way it turns out. And it kind of makes me wonder, seriously, when I'm thinking about it too, if I can use something like that with it. Because I'm also considering, if I turn one of my, new design versus a current design, give it a rocket power, am I really going to want to sacrifice it? Well, I mean, am I going to be sacrificing it? I don't want to just, send it off to its doom on something that, might wrinkle it beyond potential future flights or destroyed in general. Or I mean, sometimes I consider okay, there's a lot of forces involved, so it would have to be tapered, right? You'd have to taper it, I mean, why do it any other way? I know. I'm sorry, God. It's something like that is big to pull the trigger on. This is like it's getting wrapped up in bureaucratic red tape as we speak. That's a very undiplomatic and yet probably hyper accurate reasoning behind why it hasn't been done. How about that? I mean, because again, I watch it to my heart's content. It's like, can you? Don't get me wrong too. Actually, like what I've done is I've followed along and constructed a base form of what the paper rocket could be. But it's like once I get to that final point, I'm like, damn it, man. You know what I mean? Like it's that last step. And like, okay, this is gonna be the rocket. Here it goes. Oof. I don't expect there'll be like too much pain involved. You know, not for the plane anyway. But it does. You know, as a proud parent to many hundreds of paper airplanes, I don't want to destroy some of the ones that really mean something to me, you know. I mean, javelins, what the hell? I'll do that to almost every javelin. I should submit the javelins to that. Just like the hitch, you know, they're definitely the prime and only candidate for those, so. Oh, no, I know. I acknowledge it does look easy enough. It's not like I can't follow along and not do it. It's just the willingness. I mean, that would be cool if you do that. I just said do. It would be cool if you did that. I really wish there was some way, like, it's coming along too slowly, but I really wish there was some way where it would be more intercontinental, as it were, that you could export, that you could be the logistics center that we always jokingly talk about, where like if my plane, it's 15 years old, it's flown about 70 times, including a couple of humid days, so I'm sending it to you for a service license grant, and you or I, or an agreement, when we make a contract, as it were, we would talk about it and say like what it entails, what you would do, what you're willing to do, what we're willing to do, meaning my company versus your company. We meet, we form the agreement, I send it to you, and yet, like, you know what I mean? I mean, shit like that sounds really cool, and yet also at the same token, it's like, God, that's expensive. I'm like, am I gonna send you a box full of paper planes so you could like fix these up and send them back? In a way, it sounds awesome, and yet also in a way, it's like, boy, that's unnecessary as hell. But this is what makes, like, regular aerospace companies kick and stuff like that, Like, I would love, Ben, I don't know if you're still there, I would love to send you something and, like, okay, I've got this idea for a bird. Can you put some, wing sweep actuators on this one and send it on back, That's what I mean. Like, all y'all have something, Robert, I would send you something like, this plane needs a tapering. I mean, obviously, we can do this to a degree with sharing of our videos. You make the designs and people can design them. But, like you're talking about, it's not a true export unless you built it. Anybody could build them. That's what they're all there for. And it's cool. But, like, if you want to see it, you got to get it straight from the horse's hooves. Okay, I've never seen a horse fold a paper airplane, so that would be kind of interesting. But you've got to get it straight from the source. So, like, I can put my videos out there. You guys have put your instructables and videos out there to show how to build them. But again, like, me personally, and it's why I've done it in the past, I would order them from you. I would literally want one of yours. I'll build yours till I'm blue in the face. That's fine. But that's still my method versus what you do. And even still, when you're dealing with that, you're still dealing with different techniques of throwing. I will be throwing differently than you guys. I know it. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not just a simple, you don't know. I might suck at throwing. I might throw like a left-handed Tommy John surgery guy. It's just, there's not many, but there's quite a few intangibles. And again, and I pointed this out in a previous show, that like actually where you're at does make a difference. I've had Pharaoh back in the day I've brought this up before. I'm going to reiterate this. Pharaoh back in the day, when he knew that I was coming to visit my folks up here in Wisconsin, we were living in South Carolina at the time. he told me and gave me one of his shoeboxes that had like 8 planes in it. And he said, like, fly these while you're up there. I want to see what they do. But he had built every single one of them. So I took them up there along with obviously a few of mine. He just wanted them to get airborne. And I flew them too. And again, they were different. I had flown them. We flew each other's a lot, so we knew. But I flew them myself up there, and they were definitely different up there than they were down up here, than they were down there. So, I mean, it could be argued as to why, like, again, the paper planes on a smaller scale feel different currents than real planes do. So if you do have like a tree tunnel, like if your street is tree lined, they're going to feel a different set of wind than if you are down a non-tree lined street. Although I did try to duplicate the air as much as possible. It obviously couldn't be, the same. Basically what I did was I just picked the yards I flew them in. Because I wasn't going to go to a park. I flew them in yards. So, again, but this is why I stress, and it's not just for flying them. It's not just for like I'm gonna like plagiarize your design. It's a matter. I mean, I'd like you to know. I'd like to think that you could trust me with any bird that you gave me. It would never get out. I would never use it in any kind of battle to be lost. I would try my utmost to get it if it was anywhere. I mean, if anything, you should know this about me. I do this for my own. I would treat yours like one of my own. But the point is, I would need it from you. And I like to have it on hand because that way, again, like I don't want like somebody like NASA's who's moved around as much as he has. Like I'd like to keep him on hand so if you move it and you lose it to time and moves, you could always come to me and say like, hey, do you happen to have an Omniwing? Because I can't remember how to build it. Bad example. I mean, if you know how to build it, you know how to build it. But if you have video, you'll always remember. But I mean, but also crucial is if you have an example of design. And unfortunately, we go back, and I'm sure you do too, but like we go back so far that it's like we don't always have these videos. So there's a lot of planes that were designed back in the day that we just don't have the videos of. Luckily, some of my earliest birds are so simple I don't have that problem. My diverseness is such that I don't have to worry about it either. I know I've got like 17 designs, but I can build every single one of them. Plus, I have one of at least every example on hand. Even if it's in the palace and no longer flying, I will have something on hand with which I can build another one from. Except, there's always a caveat, isn't there? Except Venom. The Venom from so long ago has been lost, which is why every time I build Venom, it's always the NG. The next generation. I call it the new generation, but yeah. Actually, I didn't borrow, it was not a Star Trek reference. It was actually a reference from the French Mirage. Back in like 1985. Their program that was leading into the 2000, or actually competing, I should say, against the 2000. Dassault built the 3NG for Nouvelle Generation, their next step of the Mirage 3, and they didn't want to proceed because they'd already started like pretty much putting their ducks into the Mirage 2000. And I mean, let's face it, they're both pretty similar. But if you've seen the 3NG, it's very similar to the 2000. With like some obvious Mirage 3 roots. So, but anyway, that's where I borrowed it from, and that's why again, like I lost that one to time. I know what it looked like. I had no idea how to fold it to get it how it looked like. So that's why like the ones I've got, they're close. But some of the flights that have been gotten out of these things are like way longer than it ever was. So, but again, that's why I like having them on hand, not just for my benefits, but your benefits as well. I know you guys. I mean. I know a lot of you, if not most of you, are quite well aware of how to build your birds. But I like to take that out of the equation. And you'll have to forgive me, NASA's, but I've been dealing with some people that just lose some planes and then therefore their designs in the past. So, including myself. But this is why I'd just like to have them on hand. Plus the fact I like to have something in the palace. I mean, again, I don't know if you knew that, but the palace... Like everybody should have it. They're one box of planes that like are retired planes that once flew so well, or was like number 1 or number 1,000 or whatever it is. That's where you stick them. The palace. You will always keep your palace. You never keep the pad. You put your destructible planes in there. You put the ones that are going to be destroyed in there. That's what the pad is for. But the palace is for. That's where number 1 lies. You know what I mean? Like 72 is in there. 169 is in there. so on and so forth. The planes are the greatest flights. They're in there. And then at least an example of every plane is in there, so they can be always, you go back, oh, that's how I built that. You know what I mean? So, but I like to have them on hand, and I like to have them from the source. I can build your plane. Yeah, I don't need, I can follow directions. In some cases, not exactly, but maybe I didn't follow it the way you intended. So that's why I like it from the source. Oh yeah, and again, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that too. I'm not saying fuck no, I ain't building your birds. I'm definitely building your planes, because not only am I not getting ideas from them. I mean, I'm getting ideas from what you guys do, but it's also a matter of, again, well, what did your folds do that mine didn't, or what did my folds do that yours didn't? I like seeing the difference in that too. Still doesn't mean I don't like getting it from the source. So, I've got one of every Borg plane, one of every Gent plane, one of every Faro plane. I think I've got one of every Edco plane. I'd like to say I've had one of every Mink plane, but obviously that's not the case. I've only got, I've got a few Mink planes, NASA's planes, as it were, but not as many as neither one of us would like. So, but see, that's not like license building like we like to talk about. Like if I built it, it would be a license built version of yours. That's directly from you. That is a true export. And I would like to get some of y'all's exports. Just to say this is from your hands. This is your craft. So when I build one, I have yours and mine, and the only difference is the way I throw. My folds versus your folds, your taping versus my taping, so on and so forth. That's the true comparison. So, I mean, yeah, granted, if you do it right, well, actually, you know what? I don't even consider it right. But if you do it, at least it's like, hey man, I built one as good as the originator. Cool. I hope that for everyone that I put out there. I hope for Hagataka's sake. I hope for Cirrus's sake. I hope you guys have flown them as good as I've got them to fly. I mean, I don't expect them to be total duds. But then again, you've got umpteen chances to try. Because just go back in time in the videos. Yeah, no, hey man. Yeah, it did. It crashed for all of us. Like I said, kind of embarrassing. Bah. But again, it would be, but don't you agree? It'd be really cool if we had some kind of inexpensive, let me stress that because we're dealing with paper, some kind of inexpensive system where, like the real world, if I were to send you a plane with a problem, or not a problem, with an idea, it's like, man, I'd like MUPs on this thing. Could you put 2 MUPs back here and send it to you? You hook it up and send it back, like you're the logistics center. Again, a service life extension program. This plane has been flying for 15 years. And then we write up the contract. You do it. I send it to you. You do it. You send it back. It's just so not feasible, but it's really, really cool. And Ben, we were talking about you. Like I said, if I wanted you to, I need an actuator. I would like this thing to have, a sweep back and a tailplane back here. Could you install that actuator? This is an example. I wouldn't do it with this one. But could you install that actuator and send it back? And I would send you that. You do it and send it back. That's what I mean. It's just not so feasible for us on this level. But it'd be really, really cool. Just as much as it would be for, again, true exports. Like I said, I'd love to have one of y'all's planes straight from the one. Hell, I'd like to have a fleet of y'all's planes, one of each that is, from the source. So I'd make an individual palace for each one of y'all. I barely would fly them. Yes, I did do that. I'll ask you that. Let me take it one step farther. You said the bag thing. It does sound. It's an interesting concept, and maybe we'll get to a point where it's a little bit more feasible. Maybe with the advent of, say, a 3D printer, we could. I don't think it's going to come out just right because, again, you'll probably be printing the ultimate design. You won't get any fold. But maybe, it'd be cool to have, okay, you 3D print this part. I'll print this part, and we'll put it together and come up with our own that way. But, oh wait, where I was going with that, let me take that a step farther. This is so simple it's stupid, but have you ever done an aerodynamic test with the cup holders from, like, say, a Burger King or McDonald's, the 4 cup holders? Have you ever done the one where you take it and, like, you get up on the couch or at least a high point in the house, or take it out to your deck and just let it drop with the cup ends down, then take it and with the cup ends up, throw it down, and see if you can figure out which way produces more lift and more drag? I've done that so often it's almost embarrassing, because I can't really. I would like to think that there's one way that has a little bit more lift than the other, and yet I cannot prove or disprove it one way or the other. I wondered if any of y'all have ever done something foolhardy as that. I don't know why I'm fascinated with it, but I do it every time I get one of those, and I think about it. I'm like, man, you'd like to think there's one way, seriously, that has just a little bit more lift. So you drop it as, like, is it slower this way or is it slower this way? I cannot make, even with a stopwatch, and yes, I've gone as far as to stopwatch them, I cannot make a discernible difference in cup up versus cup down. No fair taping it, no fair altering it. You just have to get it fresh from the restaurant and then see which way works. Especially the ones with holes. You figure the holes, but I think there's a method of thrust working in there, seriously. If you look at it, I think there's, like, if you do cup down, the air getting stuck in the cups is being forced out the holes faster than it can hold. So it's almost like thrust down. Whereas if you turn it upright, there's pockets being caught, but to what extent? It is. Is there a market for that? Is again, are we talking something that's feasible here, or is it just something so ludicrous that we'll never see it? I mean, we talk about stuff that's so far-fetched. I mean, doing what you're doing is not far-fetched. I'm not, okay, this is just within the realm, and obviously it can be done, and it's really cheap, because you're using parts that you have on hand. You may have to go buy them, but typically it's parts that are on hand. But, like, something like this, even if you 3D printed, truthfully speaking, you'd probably never get the same result, because, again, you would get the end result plain. You wouldn't get any folds. You'd get the end result plain. At least that's how I think it would work, right? Because 3D printing is a 3D object. So you get the end result with none of the weight, none of the folds, so none of the stresses. So basically you'd probably have, in my case, in this one's case, it'd just be a T. In y'all's case, it'd probably be a little bit more representative of the aircraft that you build, because it would form a 3D object. But to what end? Where's the weight? And if you have to do pieces like that, like you manufacture me a part or 2 parts if it's in pairs, and I put them together, but you're already talking about putting them together is doing something you never intended to do. If I were to give you, like, the wings of this so you could put it on your fuselage, you're still going to have to tape it, staple it, glue it, something that it was never intended, because it was a simple fold. So you're going to be losing something in that translation, obviously. And I'm not saying anything like this isn't like some profound, I'm not making anything deeper, but, I'm sure if you've given it any little bit of thought, you've realized this. So I'm just voicing opinions here. It's like, what would be the point? I'm not going to try to embarrass or myself or others and then say, like, yeah, we should do this. Like, when really it's like, why? Well, other than for the sheer, would the ingenuity of it, would the spontaneity of it wear off without thinking the first time you did it? Wow, that was cool. Now what? I don't want to be trapped in that. I would like to think that it would be kind of cool, but again, it's just like, I don't think any of you guys are, like thousandaires like me. You know what I mean? It's just not in the cards. These are simple paper planes, man. Forgive me, Ben. Yours are a little bit more than simple. Hell, dude, all of y'all, seriously, no disrespect. OAE, POW, you guys, yours aren't simple either. If anything, mine are the simplest. Yeah, it's like, is it feasible to do some shit like that? Probably not. I don't think so. It's just a good, cute pipe dream or daydream. But I don't know, like we were talking about before, like putting the lights on board or getting the micro transmitters and actuators on board, which again, it's coming. You can see what we're getting with those. It's coming, but man, why do the paper when you could do like I don't know. I don't know. Expanding on that a little bit, if it was a radio-controlled version of the plane, I have to admit, it would still be this. It would still be this. I wouldn't be making a Cessna 172 or an A-10 or a 727. I'd be making these and then trying to make these work. You know, I definitely would be making these still, even if this wasn't the folds. If it was just a foam cutout, which I can do and have done. One of the few Christmases ago, the wife had bought me a foam cutting tool, and I've got a bunch of foam. I've stored foam over the years, so I can like design anything in styrofoam that I choose to. I mean, we're talking big pieces. I've got a lot. It's like probably it should be illegal, but I would design this, and I would base my actuators and shows on this. Like if I put flaps on it and shit like that, and then try to get it to work. I'd probably lose a few of them, but I mean, I would love to see if this thing actually would test fly and fly. It does. It really does. Yeah, I mean, the creation, your creation, the creation of it is more than simply just cutting out a pattern or ending up with that plan form. It's the folds you put into it. It's so much that, again, like what we talked about before, where if you truly have done this art, where you've got into it so much, and you've seen me do it on these shows, where like if I'm building a plane in front of you, I really don't like to, and that's why I didn't this night, was, again, if I get into it, I'm going to forget you're there. I'm not going to talk to you because I don't remember. I'm just like, I got to get this done. And I will be folding, and I will totally, you guys, I'm zoned out. I'm on this. And that is just that, the heart and soul of it. You know, like you're putting it into it, and things you're not going to get out of just simply creating it. I mean, again, for duplication purposes, for export purposes, for people to be able to build the plane that you built, sure, okay, why not? And Ben, I don't know if you caught in on it, but like we were talking about a little bit further up there, again, the exporting, the true exporting, like OE obviously dabbles in that. He considers the ones that he puts out there. And again, truly any one of us that put a video out there of a how to build of any bird that you have is a loose form of export, but not a true export, because again, it's a license, essentially. A real world would translate it out to be a license. You're essentially letting everybody build your plane, right? So a true export would be like, I built it and then sent it to you. And that's why I like to have those on hand. I would like one of each of y'all, so I can have it. I'd probably put them in a case. I might fly them once or twice so I see how yours fly compared to the ones that I build of yours. But then I'd like, yep, this is the scimitar right here. I got this, straight from the line. I'd be proud of that. That'd be kind of cool, This is a Y13 original. This is a taper original, But, and again, if not for just the nuances of the different builds, like I said, we had said it, and Robert acknowledged it, like, my folds are going to be different than yours. Because I'm a different person. You're a different person. I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know. But, like, so, my cuts, my tapes, all of that stuff. And you don't know either. I mean, like, if I went down to the nearest micrometer of how long your piece of tape was and a tail end of this to like cover a wing pocket, I mean, A, I'm not going to do that. Or B, well, it's obviously going to be a different length, and when you're dealing with something made out of paper, that length means that much more weight, so you're going to be dealing with a different plane. I don't expect every one of y'all's folds on your same planes are spot on, or your cuts are spot on. So all of our planes are like the paint jobs on F-16s. They're like thumbprints. No two are the same. Exactly. No two are exactly the same. I always wonder how they did it when you went to like a Books A Million or something, or a Barnes and Noble, or a Borders, and got a plane. Those you've seen those. You get your books, and they actually have a plane example in there. How the hell did they do that? You don't mean to tell me there's one dude whose sole job in life is to build that one plane a million times? I mean, I don't know how many times that book sold, but let's just say a million, right? Because even he, like, you build it, man, I can't imagine. Like, okay, this plane, there's probably, what would you think? Like, through history, through everybody, there's probably like 5 million, 50 million of these have been built through time, right? This design, okay? Because everybody, like, this is where you start out, you know? But again, like, everybody's a little bit different. Even that one dude, or whatever it was, and if there truly is a machine that folded those planes, and I've seen examples of this, there's videos of this online, so there is a machine that can do this, but like to get it the same way every time, to get the folds crisp, but only to build a basic, because you can't, it does this, it literally does this. And I'm not even sure, it's got a rudimentary does it. I think it like takes a paper, makes sure the triangle gets folded, and then just crushes it into flatness, and then throws it. If you look it up, you'll see it. There's like a paper airplane building and throwing machine. But it does this. You know, there's no way, you'd have to go into, you know, then again, on your side, you have to go into some form of CAD to create the program to design a plane such as this. Tell it to cut your trailing edge this way. Make sure you add a staple, but fold it all up. Make sure you get those, you know, those wing pocket folds. Get this cut in there, and then kick it out. You know, so you think? I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah, I get it that like airliners and fighter planes in the real world are pretty complex, but dude, when it comes down to it, if you were to mass produce these, if you were to get every single way, build 1 million of these and make them all the same way, that's complex for anybody and anything. In many ways, that makes us greater producers. Because whoever made that and put that in that book, I mean, even on, like, let's give it a scrimping chance. He built 250,000. Maybe he only built 20,000. How many planes in the real world have 20,000 examples? 2, right? That's it. The Cessna 172, I don't actually know. MiG-21 did not build that many. Send the Beach. I mean, the Bonanza. Seriously, man. So, sending a paper plane and building it for those books. I mean, my God. That's the most mass-produced plane in the history of man. Right there. Right there. Or this thing. There's everybody, the world over, just everybody build a paper airplane. Give them this design and everybody builds this one. Just once. It instantly became the most produced plane in the history of mankind. Right? So, is there heart and soul in that? I'd like to think so. Because you folded it. You put your time and effort into it. Even if it is just like 5 simple folds. Shit, I think I got that right. It is like 5 folds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 7. 7 folds, excuse me. I forgot the wings. 7-fold plane. But again, if you're spending time to create through your mind the design and then physically create it, it's yours. It's heart and soul. That's the art. That's the art. Anyway, people, oh my God. Let me know. I'm not meaning to cut this kind of short, but this isn't short, so we're making up for the shorter one I had earlier on. Dude, thank you guys for showing up. Appreciate appreciate the audience and the good camaraderie and the good conversation on this. Don't get me started, man. Robert, don't get me started. I swear to God, that guy, dude. What really irks me about it is, like, I've got his books. I've got the one book, The Guiding Flight, okay? And there's a few planes in there that are, like, unique. But he never concentrates on those. And it really... I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. I hate alienating anybody. I want to pick on him, too, because he's, like, furthering our hobby. And I can't diss anybody. I got to give love to anybody continuing and furthering the hobby. Seriously. I mean, anybody doing it. More power to you. Please do it in in the time and day and age we live in, we need simple pleasures like this very badly. So, but you're right, man. My God, dude, it's like, what the fuck is up with that? I mean, for real. Oh, God. It's a little bit frustrating. But I mean, all together told, like I said, that he's kind of become our de facto ambassador, So, yeah, guys, yes, like I said, let me wrap this up. We're approaching the 2 hours, and I'm really truly sorry that we kind of got cut off there. Totally my fault. I plan on, yeah, we're gonna have to fix that shit. Give us some more videos, please, guys. Get some flight videos. Get some designing videos. I still enjoy you guys' builds almost as much. I mean, for my sake, I enjoy the builds almost as much as the flights. I mean, and I do love the flights. So, get out there, get them airborne, get them built, and get them airborne. Thanks for coming out. Stay safe, and you know what we say.